What's going on, folks? Westport Four Star Sports Media. You are sitting down at the sports buffet. Welcome to the show. Hope everyone is doing well. Today is November 20th. Holy cow, it's November 20th. How? How is it November 20th? But here we are. We're here. We're looking forward to another jam-packed show today, or as we like to call it, a plateful of sports. John Starkman, what's up, man?
Yeah, this whole year's gone by way too fast for our listeners. Football's almost done the regular season. Before you know it, people will be saying, "There's too many bowl games." Well, you're not a college football fan if you don't love college football bowl games, right?
Dude, I speaking of bowl games, man. Um, I can specifically remember as a kid and as adult for that matter, uh, with my stepdad sitting down on the old college football 14 game
Mm-hmm.
and getting the newspaper out. Yes, folks, I said the newspaper, getting the old CA commercial appeal, a pretty hot topic there in the city of Memphis recently because of some terrible editing. But we'll leave that alone. Um, I can remember literally starting with the first bowl game, which was I think generally like the Hawaii Bowl or something. But you would start with that game, and we would go in that video game, and we would play every single bowl game all the way down, and we would just flip flop, who was who or whatever.
Right.
But no, actually, I think we would flip a coin to see who was what team. Um, man, memories, brother, memories. Damn, that was fun. Um,
Speaking of
all
which,
I
what
gotta do
is
is
your
just get a new system.
yeah,
We can do the same thing now. Do
speaking of
what?
which, what is your favorite bowl game that you have been to as a Tiger fan?
Ooh, that gum, man. Um,
Would you like me to go first?
yeah,
All right, Bacon Bartlett, if you remember right, did a charter plane
yeah,
up to the Motor City Bowl up
yeah.
in
I do
Detroit.
remember that.
So I'll go with that one as one of my favorites just because it was a crazy 24 hours as Memphis fans. Because I don't know if you remember this or not, but Adam Morrison and company had a game against the Tigers the
Gonzaga,
day
yeah.
after. So that was a one.
Mhm.
That's one of those I didn't sleep at all moments, except for like an hour and a half on the plane coming home because we flew like right after that ball game got over to come back home. And then I'm like, okay, I'm wired up for the basketball game that night as well, the next night. So technically, you didn't really get no sleep at all. So I'll go with the Motor City Bowl as one of my favorites. Plus, D'Angelo
Okay.
broke the record while he was there. So, yeah.
Yeah. Um, mine. I mean, man, the Cotton Bowl, of course. Most of your today's Memphis fans, and probably most of a lot of other Memphis fans, just because of the significance of the game, would say obviously the Cotton Bowl 2019, right?
Right.
Me, no. Mine's the GMAC Bowl. And people may laugh. What the GMAC Bowl? It was a heck of a football game between a then Urban Meyer with Dan Mullen as his offensive coordinator at the time. Bowling Green football team. Go back and look at that 2000 and what was that 2004 um, Bowling Green football team. And then you go back and watch that game that D'Angelo had before he got hurt, which ended up being his final game as a Memphis Tiger. But you go back and look at that. Go back and find that game and watch that game. That is a hell of a football game and an absolute, I'm not trying to cuss, but an absolute effing downpour in what was a blast of a game. Blast of a game. Uh, we got Charles McRary is coming on here shortly. Going to talk a little Jonesboro, Arkansas. John. Okay, hold on. It wasn't a bowl game, John, but probably my favorite game I've ever been to. I was there as a media member, so I couldn't even cheer, that was fun, clapping under the desk to myself. But it was Memphis and Arkansas State. Think back just 2-3 years ago. In an absolute, that game ended up being, I believe it was, and off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure it was 55-50 that Memphis won the game. Sean Dykes had a heck of a game for Memphis. Brandon Thomas just had a coming out party. And had Arkansas State, the quarterback's name slips my mind. I should know. Oh, John, hold on, man. We ain't even got to the Tyson. Look, we're gonna talk Mike Tyson here in just a minute too. But hold on, man. John, what was the guy's name? Quarterback. He played at Florida State. Blackman. Is that sounds correct to me? Anyway, had they started that kid the first half, Memphis would have lost that football game. I'm pretty sure this kid came in second half to play for the Red Wolves. But man, a hell of a game right there, dude. That is probably one of my favorite road games ever in my life. All right, let's talk Mike Tyson and Jake Paul real quick. No, folks, this is not still loading. We've got this. It's okay. Anyway, John, did you know is the most streamed global sporting event ever with 65 million live concurrent streams, meaning all at the same time, and 108 total live viewers around the world, according to a Netflix release. The most watched, the Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor fight before that averaged 74 million. I'll say it again. 74 million live global viewers. And if you didn't watch that fight, folks, go back to Netflix. Maybe it's not, I don't know. It may be off. They're suing them. Yeah, Netflix is now, by the way, suing the company for breach of contract. Netflix is facing a lawsuit after widespread complaints about buffering and glitches, and it was filed in Florida by Ronald, quote, Blue Denton. It accuses Netflix of breach of contract for constant glitches per TMC, by the way. Netflix acknowledged the poor streaming quality of the highly anticipated event in a step where he said, quote, this is per Netflix, by the way, folks, quote, the unprecedented scale created many technical challenges, which the launch team tackled brilliantly by prioritizing stability of the stream for the majority of the viewers, said Netflix executive Elizabeth Stone. She would go on to say, quote, I'm sure many of you have seen the chatter in the press and on social media. She really said that. And the quality issues. We don't want to dismiss the poor experience of some members, and we know we have room for improvement, but still consider this event to be a huge success. Netflix broadcast from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Boy, Jerry just gets all the events, too. Peaked at 65 million concurrent households in the U.S., an estimated 56% of all TV viewerships in the country was tuned in to the Tyson-Paul fight between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. Eastern Time, the streaming service added. Incredible numbers, right? I love it. Beautiful. I got to see Mike Tyson's backside. It's a fact. If you watch the fight, that was probably the most entertaining portion of the entire thing. This man said, vicious fight. And then turned around and it was just wham. I mean, I felt like I was watching Rikishi back in the day in WWE. If y'all remember that. It's what I felt like. I mean, the whole nation got a stink face from Mike Tyson after just beautiful, just vicious fight. I love you too. I mean, beautiful stuff from Tyson. By the way, I'm only 39, and I hope to God I can be that his age and get in there and move like that. I don't care, folks. That he wasn't slow, by the way. There was numerous times where if you watch Mike Tyson back in the day in any way, shape, or fashion, when Tyson ducks that punch, there's an uppercut coming. Did we see the uppercut the entire night? Don't worry. As Cat Williams would say, don't worry, I'll wait. I, Congratulations to Jake Paul. You got paid $40 million. Kudos, my guy. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Mike got paid 20. If he was in any kind of debt, he should have it taken care of now. Hell, I would hope. But man, on the other side of this, from a business perspective, if you're Netflix, John, and this is kind of where I want to. We got about 3 minutes, so we got Charles coming on. But if you're Netflix
Mm-hmm.
and you're the WWE World Wrestling Entertainment, there has to be some concern, right?
Yeah, there's got to be a little bit at least. Yeah,
A little bit.
I'd be nice.
I mean,
yeah.
obviously, 67 million people are not going to be watching WWE. I understand that. But I don't know, dude. There's a lot of folks out there that love some WWE. Let's just be honest.
And let's be honest, a lot of people are still sharing accounts somehow as well.
I mean, this is true.
They're getting away with it still. So
Yeah, yeah, I don't know, man. It's you got to get it fixed. I mean, I know that if you're Netflix, you got to get that thing taken care of swiftly, as they say. All right, man. Let's go ahead and get Charles in here real quick and talk some Arkansas State Red Wolves that are. I'm not trying. This is not a shot, folks. Anybody in Jonesboro listening? It's not a shot. But brick by brick, Butch Jones has rebuilt the Red Wolves, and I absolutely love it. Let's get Charles in there real quick. All right, I absolutely love it. That's not look, man. I want to be champion of life too. Trust me. But Charles, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you guys having me, man.
But and in the backstage, it looked like you were chuckling a little bit when we were talking Mike Tyson too. So I find that kind of funny.
Yeah. Don't get me started on that.
Butch Jones. First off, John and I both loved the hire when it happened.
Yeah.
But to see what he's done in Jonesboro, Arkansas, me and him both were there live, like we talked about earlier, the Memphis game from a few years back. But to see what he's done, and it's not just to see what he's done with the product on the field, but to see what he's done in the recruiting and the just continuous build of this program. And then above all that, look at what he's doing in the city of Jonesboro. I mean, I just love what Butch is doing in Jonesboro.
I actually talked to Butch, I want to say a couple weeks ago. I'm an A-State grad. So I remember when like the new facility wasn't there. That was like soccer fields, practice fields back there. We never had like a Red Wolf walk, you know what I mean? So it's like he's come in and really like helped change the culture of this program. I told him, I was like, dude, being a grad and seeing where the program was to where it's at now is completely different. And it's a beautiful thing.
You know what, Wes and Charles, it kind of reminds me of the Coach Roberts days back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, I was there let's see. It's funny. My Facebook just told me I graduated in 2012. So I was there DeMario's last season, and I mean that team was good. We had DeMario, Brian Hall, I believe, was a defensive lineman. We had Brandon Tompkins at wide receiver. Applin, I think, was there at quarterback. So I mean, we had some players there. But again, like the squad that Butch has come in and built now is just we've got weapons. The problem is, man, and I'm sure you guys are going to ask me about this. The problem is we just don't know how to get the ball to all these weapons, and that's I think the one hiccup that's been talked about a lot around Jonesboro. Excuse me. Listen, I'm fighting a cold, so y'all got to forgive me if I sound nasally and all that stuff.
You're fine, bro.
My hand's raised for a reason.
Yes, sir.
My hand is raised for a reason. Trust me. Man, yeah. You know what though? You've got a great point there because there's weapons all over that field.
Yeah.
And so I guess since you brought it up, I mean, we can go ahead and ask now. What do you think is hindering the ability for them to be able to get the ball to all these weapons?
That's a great question. I think there's a couple factors. I think it's just there's too many. I mean, let's be real. We've got 3 running backs that could probably go with Cross, Wallace, and then you've got the backup, the third string running back who can get going. Wide receiver room. I talked about this during our preseason special. There's like 6 wide receivers in this group. Corey Rucker's great, right? Adam Jones, solid. You got Malik Hornsby, who does not see the field, and that dude has got track speed and can go get it. We've got Reagan Ely, who's a solid slot. I feel like I'm missing somebody. There's a couple other guys that they brought in. It's just I don't think it's enough football to go around for everybody. And then I haven't even mentioned Jalen. You know what I mean? Rayner is the reigning Sunbelt Freshman of the Year. I think last week he showed he can run the ball too, 114 yards on the ground. So I think it's just a lot of weapons. It's just not enough football.
Yeah, no doubt. Go ahead, John.
Charles, I think they're going to be. I think they also would love to have Lincoln Pear back, the way that Lincoln Pear has not really produced at Texas State. In the last couple of games. I know this is in Arkansas. I know he did so well at Arkansas State under Butch.
Yeah,
and then he went over to Texas State. For the transfer portal. Whatnot. Don't know really the whole reason behind it, which we won't get in detail. But I hate to say it, but I think Lincoln Pear did pretty well at Arkansas State. I'm sure he wouldn't mind going back to Arkansas State, but in general. But my question is, regarding the defense just a little bit, is there any concern? I know they're bowl eligible right now. They're 6-4 and whatnot. Have you seen any concerns over the last couple of games that kind of worries you about the defense in general?
For me, it's probably the secondary. We give up a lot of passing yards, a lot of big plays. Trying to pull it up here. It wasn't this week. It was. I mean, this week we gave up, but the Louisiana game was just an awful showing by the defense. Mm-hmm. Butch even said it was just embarrassing. The secondary is a concern, and I think coming into the season, there was a lot of talk about the defensive line. We had basically brand new defensive ends. I think we had one guy returning to the defensive end group, mm-hmm. And he ended up getting hurt. So, I mean, this group, the defensive group, I think there's a lot of you've got like your Justin Parks, your Charles Willikis, the leaders on that side, Travion Thomas. But then there's like the young guys have to step up. They have to step up, especially on that defensive line.
Yeah, I just noticed that they're giving up a lot of rushing yards in the rushing department in general. They're giving up over 205 yards per game, in the rushing department on the rushing defense. And to me, like you brought up, the defensive line needs to put a little bit more pressure also, I think, on some dual threat quarterbacks. That's what kind of been hurting them a little bit throughout the year as well.
And then like one of our main guys up the middle, he's been hurt. Marty, he's been out. And that's our big D tackle. So he's gonna be that hole plugger for you. He's been in and out. And like I mentioned, the defensive ends, Jaden Jones, he had a big game a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. He gets hurt on the bye week. So now he's done. We had a guy step up and Brian Whitehead, he just won Defensive Player of the Week for what he did last week. But it's just so inconsistent on that defensive line. And if we can get a consistent pass rush and the guys in the middle back healthy, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, Brian's from my neck of the woods in Bartlett High School, so that's one of
that tweet that I put up yesterday about him went crazy, and I was just like, "Who are all these Bartlett people retweeting?"
Hey, he also played at Liberty. That's one of the
dude. It's thick over there, buddy. Trust me.
Hey, that's one of the things I love about Butch Jones is getting players also in the portal from big programs to come over to Arkansas State and turn them around.
Yep. I mean, Marvin Ham came from Colorado. He leads the team in tackles right now. That dude has been a beast at linebacker for us. Excuse me.
So, John, you just brought up my next point. Speaking of Butch Jones and the portal, I talked about earlier how he's doing it through the recruiting class, and I mean that the portal is part of that. What is it about Butch that is able to attract the talent, but not only the talent on the field, also the talent on the sidelines? If you look at his staff is quite talented.
I mean, for me, I think but Butch is a polarizing person. If you ever had a chance to just meet Butch or talk to him, he's got a great personality. He knows his football. And then he has, I mean, the background. He's coached at some big schools, Cincy. He was assistant at Alabama, Tennessee. I mean, he's been places. He's got those connections. It's cool to see. Like, I've been to practice a couple times, and they're scouts at practice all the time. So he's got the connections and everything like that. So I think, again, the culture that he's building in that program, and he'll tell you he hates that word. He hates the word culture. I think you, John, you were on the call Monday when he was just like, culture is that word that I hate. So, but he's building a great culture at Arkansas State. And it's actually like, it's cool to see because it's trickling down to other sports too. Like our basketball program, we were picked to win the Sun Belt. The volleyball team, they lost 4 games this year. They're the number 1 seed in the Sun Belt. They're rebuilding the baseball stadium right now. New baseball coach will be here. He's going crazy in the portal too. So, I mean, it's kind of like he's setting the bar and everybody else is kind of getting up there with him.
Hey, Wes, you don't have to worry about McDonald's Happy Meals.
As an alumni,
you know what he has to. Hey, you know what he's having? He's he's having a pizza party for Mazio's.
Yeah, he is. Holy shit. All right, Charles. As an alumni, what does it mean to see Butch do this? I mean, you know what I mean? Like on a real personal to Charles, what does it mean?
Man, it's funny. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. As like an anchor, reporter, whatever you want to call me, I have to be like in the middle. Like I can't be up here all the time. I can't be, but that's hard. I'm a fan, right? Like I'm a fan first. So to see, the school that I went to, the school that I graduated from, become bowl eligible, I celebrated. Like the clip that the intro to my highlight package, I think it was either Sunday or Monday. I'm like, hey man, we're going bowling. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm excited for it. I'm excited for what this team is doing. I'm excited for where they're headed. It's cool to see the behind the scenes that people don't get to see. You know what I mean? Like I get to be on the sideline and I'm, talking with the coaches. I'm talking with the players. I'm I'm in the media room talking with the the SIDs and all those guys, and the excitement that's around this team right now it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who, I mean, I'm not on the news by any stretch of imagination. I have a face made for radio, but
I got a radio
when
background too,
you
my guy.
when you but when you, I mean, we're very similar because it's different. Like I at times will argue with Memphis fans, and I'm like, you don't understand. Like you haven't seen it from the angle.
Right.
You're not on the sideline listening and hearing, and it's when you're there and you can feel that stadium erupt when a big play happens. It's different.
It's
It's
different.
it's it's completely different than sitting in those stands, and it's something that honestly, man, we here at Four Star, like we cherish any media distribution list that we are blessed to be added to because we know that it's an opportunity and it's also a privilege because it can be taken at any time. So
100%.
we take this very serious, and I mean, so Charles, now it's time for you to let everybody know how they can follow you, a little bit more about what you do for the news station, um, and then just any this is like your NIL time. You get to
Listen, man.
you get to promote yourself.
Y'all sending checks? Wait a minute. Is that what we're doing here?
No. This is sorry, volunteer NIL. Yeah, sorry. He said, "Whoa, hold on, time out."
I was about to say, man, listen, we sent the checks. Hold on, let's talk. No, y'all can follow me, man,
Yeah.
at Charles McRary on Twitter. I'm the weekend sports reporter and anchor for KIT 8 here in Jonesboro. I've been doing this. This is going into month 5, 6 at this job, but I've got 20 years of experience in TV, man. I've been working my way up behind the scenes. I was a commercial producer for most of my career. This has been a passion of mine since I was 5, 6 years old, man. I grew up in Chicago. I watched Dan Roan and Jim Rose on TV in Chicago, and I was like, that's what I want to do. Stuart Scott, that's what I want to do. And now I get the opportunity to, talk Red Wolves football, baseball, basketball, volleyball, soccer, and then I get to cover high school sports every week. So, it's been a true blessing. I'm just very grateful for the opportunities that have been presented to me. And follow the journey, man. At Charles McRary on Twitter, at Charles McRary 2 on Instagram. Those are probably my two main things, and I think Facebook is like Charles McRary Sports or something like that. So yeah.
Hey Charles, my last question for you,
Well,
real
Charles,
quick.
speaking of,
Sorry.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, Charles, I got one quick question
No,
to
you're
ask
good.
you. First of all, Wes brought up the 2 years ago, or the blow. Let me say this: the last year game, I think, was the blowout when Memphis came in there and made a statement and blew them out, right? Yeah.
Well, you had to say it like that, but yeah,
No,
go ahead.
I'm getting to the point. But Jones
Can't
made
use
it.
the word blowout.
Hey, sorry. But Jones made an interesting comment right after that ball game, if I'm not mistaken. The attendance needs to show up.
Yeah.
And I feel like after that game, throughout the season, the attendance started getting a little bit better as well to support that football team, like the old days, pretty much as well. How's the attendance this year as an Arkansas State supporter? In general this year in general.
The game's been pretty nice, man. The crowd's been great. We're at that time of the year right now where we're in November. School's about to get out, I think, here in the next couple weeks. Basketball is going on at the same time as football, so it's like people are like, "Are we going to the hoop game, or are we going to go to the football game?" So, attendance has been cool. I'm trying to think. I don't think we've had a bad attendance at any of the games this year. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about Jonesboro. If you play good, they're going to show up. Period. If you're putting out a trash product, the fans aren't going to show up. So this team has really been it's been close games. If you look at if you look at the schedule and like all the games that we played at home, it's been like a touchdown game, a field goal game. So it's been really good, really entertaining games, stressful games for people on the sidelines. But I think, if you put out a good product, people are going to show up and, they're going to support the Red Wolves for sure.
And I got to give kudos to the athletic department over there in Jonesboro as well by putting that non-conference schedule together this year, back-to-back weeks. I mean, hey, you're getting better by playing those two teams, in general.
I honestly think, and I might sound crazy saying this, there was a chance for us to beat Michigan in week 3. There was an opportunity, slight, for them to get that upset. But that Iowa State game was brutal. That was I was actually supposed to go to the Iowa State game, and I'm glad I didn't. Because it was just that's one of those games where I was like, oh, we might be in trouble. Because Jalen only threw for 68 yards, which is insane. Our defense couldn't stop anybody. I mean, it was bad. So I was like, that's a 9-hour drive. 9-hour drive to go see him get beat down and a 9-hour drive back. I was like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't go.
Kind of reminded me of that Oklahoma game that one year.
Yeah, that's another one. So last year,
I'm gonna bring that up, man. It's gonna get teary-eyed.
So I wasn't in this position last year. There was my guy Logan was here, and Logan and Chris went to that game, and Chris tells the story all the time. He was like, dude, that was the worst football game I've ever seen in my life. He was like, I don't even know what happened. And then of course, Butch went viral with the kneeling down and crying thing. But honestly, for me, that just shows how passionate he is about this. When he got here, he said it was going to be a 4-year turnaround. And I mean, this is year three, I think, with him, year 4. And, there's a chance that this might be his best record since he's been here.
I had him going 7-5.
I think it's got a great chance to happen.
I mean, 2 games left.
I
ULM.
I think we were in the same boat, 7-5 before.
ULM, ODU left on the schedule. I mean, I think both games are very winnable. We're undefeated at home. He's got to close it out.
Man, when's the last time Memphis and Arkansas State have both been undefeated at home in the same season? I would be really interested to go back and dig that stat up.
That'd be great. When do we play?
Because I don't know if that's how. I think it's been a while.
I'm mad that we don't play this year. I'm mad we didn't play this year.
The next game on the schedule in the future non-conference schedule on FBS schedule says you don't play again until 2026, which to me personally, I'd rather have that game every year on the calendar.
100%.
You should play every year. I don't care.
Especially for basketball.
In numerous sports.
Agreed. So
play them in baseball. Play them. If they got a volleyball, play them in volleyball. Play them in soccer. Shoot with them in rifle. No offense. Memphis folks can shoot.
100%.
Come on.
Y'all are winning that one.
I mean, I'm just saying. All right. That little clip may go viral later. Charles McRary joins the show here on the Sports Buffet, where you always get full of sports. Charles, as we close, man, I'm up here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, so I understand the whole natural state thing. It's weird being up here and being a Memphis fan, just to be honest with you. So let's talk a little bit of high school football. You got any teams down there that are making any moves in the playoffs right now?
So Valley View High School, undefeated, 11-0 and 5A, and they are the number 1 seed. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the next couple of weeks. This week they've got a tough test, but it's next week that everybody's kind of got like circled, because if they win and then Parkview wins, that is going to be like whoever wins that game is going to win the 5A. Those are 2 teams that really don't like each other. They played each other a couple times in the playoffs, and Parkview has won both times. So we've kind of got We've got Valley View. We've got Rivercrest. That's another team. That's 3A, I believe, and Osceola is 3A as well. Those two teams have been making a lot of noise. Osceola is the number 1 seed in the 3A. Rivercrest is like 3 or 4. So we've got a couple teams left, man. I was talking to Chris, who's my sports director. Got to send a big shout out to Chris Hutchinson, man. That dude's a beast. He's like y'all should have him on. That guy knows. He's like the almanac of sports, bro. He knows everything. It's insane. It's insane. But yeah, I think we've got like 5-6 games here that, you know, if they win out, we'll have some good, you know, NEA teams going down there to Little Rock making some noise.
Yeah, there's powerhouses all over the state. As someone who was born and raised in Memphis, you know, you kind of get just sucked into that Memphis football because there's just so much talent packed into that area. But man, you look across the state of Arkansas, and no offense to somebody who's the voice of the Razorbacks, but he made a statement that the reason that Arkansas football was not completing on an elite level is because there wasn't enough talent in the state,
which is crazy
coming out of the state. He said there wasn't, which is no offense, that is the most absurd statement I've ever heard in my life.
100%, I agree with that. Being out here every Friday covering teams and seeing high school teams, there is so much talent here. You just got to go find it. And you know, not being from here, I'm originally from Chicago, like I said, but I moved here from Las Vegas. So when I got here, I was like, this is Arkansas. You know, this is like, you know, mom and pop football. Nah, there's some boys out here hitting. There's some boys out here who can go up and get the ball, throw the ball. It's some talent here, man. There's some talent out here. And, you know, I talked to a couple guys. We got a couple 4-star running backs here. TJ Hodges, my guy from Newport. Oh, I forgot his name. There's a kid that goes to Newport. He signed with Penn State as a freshman. Okay, as a freshman. Boy, it's bad. Okay, it's talent here.
Sounds like that's the type of talent that can compete at the SEC level.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like you got to go out and find it. And it's, you know, I know a lot of schools get locked into like, oh, we've got to hit up the Bama, the Alabamas, the Floridas, the Texas, you know, the Louisianas, but don't sleep on Arkansas, man. There's a lot of talent here too.
Not only on football, but also on basketball.
I'm sorry. That's an absurd statement. Oh, 100%. Baseball. I mean, you look across the board at high school athletics in the state of Arkansas, and I'm in Fayetteville right now, and I have lived in Crossett, Arkansas. Shout out Crossett. If anybody knows anything about the South Arkansas, there's talent down there too. Now, they may be a little redneck or they may be a little, you know, whatever, but they can ball at numerous sports, at numerous levels. There's also talented coaches down there as well. But when you look at that statement, when he said that, I took all I had not to just completely comment back and just there's no point because he's the voice of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Wycroft Realtors. Anyway,
hey Wes, what about Mr. Eminem?
I don't. This is the same guy, John, that at the end of the Tennessee game said the pass is thrown to the end zone and broken up by Razorback. The Razorbacks win the game, and he didn't even throw the ball. So let's not go there. Anyway, Charles, thank you very much for coming on, man.
Y'all not gonna give me in trouble.
No, Wes, in all seriousness, he didn't do his research. Bottom line is because he forgot about when NBA star Malik Monk. So it's all good. Mr. Malik.
I mean,
shout out to Malik, man.
I'm pretty sure
Shout out.
Just played it. Exactly.
So I know you said you're a Memphis guy.
Yeah, but we both are born and raised. Yeah.
Got to rep the Redbirds, man. Shout out to the Redbirds.
Okay. Yes, sir. The old school Redbirds too. I like it. Yeah.
Hopefully we can keep that team going forward.
I like it.
Before I got into this position, man, I got to go. they gave me a tour of the facilities, the stadium, and all that stuff, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." I was up in the suites and all that stuff. It's a pretty good time.
Yeah, man. I have to give a shout out to all of minor league baseball. I had the opportunity to work with the Northwest Arkansas Naturals up here, and
Okay.
that's just at the Double A level. Man, it's first class ran. Um, there's no BS. It's straight business in that building. I worked with the grounds crew for a while, which is a blast, man. Because I'm sitting there watching these guys take BP and just
That's dope.
sat down and had personal conversations with Caden Wallace. Just one on one, just shooting the crap, man. It was cool. But no, man, Charles, we appreciate your time. Sorry, we got to rambling a little bit there, but we appreciate your time, man. We would love to get you back on, and also shout out to your guy there, sports information director, I'm sorry, sports director.
Yeah, Chris.
We need to get him on as well.
I would definitely put
Chris.
that in his ear. Let him know, man. But I appreciate you guys, man. Anytime you need me, just holler. I got you.
Heck yeah, sounds good. Man, Charles McRary came on and broke down Jonesboro, Arkansas, and the events around Jonesboro. And John, he's right. We couldn't get him on the Chuck Barrett thing. So it's all good, though. Man, what a great time with Charles McRary. John, real quick, man. Man, great dude. He is incredible, man. We've got to get him back on, no doubt about it. And let's go ahead and jump over into college football.
I love what Charles is doing. Keep it the good with Charles.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah.
He's doing the right thing by supporting everything in general in Jonesboro as well. And like you said, we definitely got to get him on during basketball season because a showdown happens, a sneaky game for Penny Hardaway in a couple weeks.
100%, man. 100%. That is a definitely sneaky game for the Memphis Tigers. All right, let's jump over into college football real quick, man. Charles, perfect segue into college football. So let's talk a little bit about Arkansas State, man. Let's take a road trip as we go around the country and talk a couple teams, couple stats, things of that nature. John, Arkansas State, man, they are bowl eligible. Can Bryant Vincent and Louisiana? I mean, we were on the Sun Belt call Monday. We actually talked to Bryant Vincent. Can Louisiana Monroe become bowl eligible against Jonesboro? And I mean, against the Fighting Butch Joneses, as I like to call them?
No, I'll go with Arkansas State here right now. I think Arkansas State has the better advantage, although being at home, I think they got better skilled players. And like Charles brought up, the speed could be a factor for the Monroe because I think also Monroe is a little bit banged up from last week in Auburn. That's why, me personally, I don't like these matchups for SEC teams to play like a Monroe later on in the season. I think the game should be played like in the middle of the year toward the early part of the non-conference slate instead of later on.
It's all about the Benjamins, man. It's all about that money. All right, John. Let's take a look at who are some games, or what are a couple of games this week that kind of stand out to you?
Well, first of all, let's give Tulane Green Wave a lot of credit. A lot of people want to bash Tulane in general real quick. Can I just say something about that? Because we knew John Summerall would have been a good hire at Tulane. It definitely turned out this year to be a good hiring process regarding Tulane. They really didn't miss a beat, beating Navy last week 35-0. So congratulations to Coach Summerall and the Tulane Green Wave on making the American Athletic Conference Championship to play Army. An interesting matchup for this week, per se, could be very well happening in good old Bronx, New York, at Yankee Stadium. Notre Dame versus Army. Could one of the military teams beat Notre Dame and shake off more of the college football playoff in general? So could Army pull the upset over Notre Dame?
Same question we asked earlier in the season, if you recall, when Navy played Notre Dame. And I know Army folks don't want to hear this, but it didn't turn out real good for Navy. John, a game that I'm looking forward to is tonight, actually. 6 p.m. ESPN2. A little bit of action. As you got Toledo and Ohio, 2 7-3 football teams battling it out. You know I love me some action, man. Speaking of that, last night, Akron knocked off Kent State 38-17. Central Michigan knocked off Western Michigan in the battle of the directionals 16-14. And Miami of Ohio knocked off Northern Illinois 20-9. And on the slate coming up tomorrow night, John, got a little just kidding. Got a little ACC action, ACC. As NC State 5-5 takes a trip down to Atlanta, Georgia, and that beautiful stadium to take on the Rambling Wreck from Georgia Tech, who comes in 6-4. This game's on ESPN at 6:30. John, we'll talk a little bit about this Friday slate too, and the reason being, what's your thoughts on this? First off, what's your thoughts on this Purdue football team 1-9, and then secondly, what's your thoughts on number 24 ranked UNLV traveling to San Jose State? Don't sleep on San Jose State.
I'll go ahead and answer the second one pretty quickly. I like that matchup. San Jose State competed pretty well until that fourth quarter against Boise. So I love that matchup. If I'm Barry Odin in the defense, I think I'm a little bit worried coming into that game, just the way San Jose State kind of played pretty well against a Boise State undefeated team last weekend. To answer your first question, I didn't like the hire at first when they hired Ryan Walters as their head football coach. I mean, I talked about this numerous times, and whatnot. But you fire an offensive guy and Graham Harrell throughout the year, but the thing that was struggling the most was your defense. So Purdue being 1-9 per se, I'm not really surprised by it. I thought it was a disappointing hire at first, to be honest with you, just because I think Purdue at the time needed more of an offensive guy as a head coach than more of a defensive guy, because they were pretty well in defense last year, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah, very good point, man. Very good point. What's your thoughts, John? Let's go to the coach's corner real quick. It's going to be a new segment that we'll start here on the show, because we can talk this on any sport, right? So let's go to the coach's corner, John. Talk coaches, decisions made, and more. So right now we're going to talk coaches. Give me some coaches out there, John, that if it's Wednesday and you're in their seat and you're sitting in front of your desk and you're compiling a game plan, are you also turning around and going behind you and going, I guess I can put this in a box. Are you packing while you're planning? You know what I mean? Give me a couple coaches that might be packing and planning right now.
well, some of them just got fired recently. I know.
Man, you ain't kidding.
Tom Herman getting fired. Now there's reporting Tom Herman getting fired 2-8 on the year, and you lose to no disrespect toward Temple, but you lose to a bad Temple team at Temple, and when you had a chance
They know they're
to win that game in regulation, whatnot. But still, now there's reports that Ray Lewis might be merged to be the head coach at Florida Atlantic, so they're trying to pull a Deion Sanders at Colorado, I guess. But a coach that they all got fired recently. That's the only thing I can think of on top of my head. But a coach that's kind of being concerning lately to me over the last couple of ball games is Matt Rule in Nebraska. I know you just put Dan Holgerson as your OC and whatnot, but I really thought this is the year that Nebraska football turned it around.
Yeah, I agree. When you look around the league, I think I believe there is 11 open slots now for head coaches, available positions, and I think 5 of those are all from the American Athletic Conference. So I'll ask you this from a coaching perspective. And we talked about this when they hired Tom Herman. We talked about this when they hired many others. But when you look around the country, is the American an attractive enough of a league, not only now, but sustainable for the future for a big name coach or a big name situation like a Ray Lewis to happen?
I mean, it's really hard to say because you got stadiums that are doing renovations like Memphis. Yeah, Florida Atlantic maybe doing renovations in the near future. And then, of course, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Alex Golesh at South Florida, never know. Alex Golesh very well could turn that South Florida team around, which he has. They're 5-5. What happens if somebody wants to hire him as an OC, like Tennessee did a couple of years ago, and
Yep.
he leaves, South Florida? So who's going to be wanting to go down to Tampa and compete with other Florida teams in the recruiting process as well?
Yeah, man. I think it could very well happen, man. I really, really do. And we'll have much more on college football tomorrow as we bring in the head coach, I guess formerly head coach of Mississippi College, Mike Kershaw, to give us a little more insight into what took place down at Mississippi College as we would get the news just a couple of days ago that they were dropping the football program. And after that, they had 17 programs on campus, but they're also changing their name to Mississippi Christian University beginning in the 2026 season. So we'll have Mike on tomorrow to talk a little bit more about that. John, let's go ahead and jump over to the NFL. That'd be the National Football League. First off, John, let me get your thoughts on some things that took place over the weekend before we take a look at what's going on coming up.
Who doesn't love rivalry football in a low-scoring affair? So for this past weekend, as Mike Tomlin would say, somebody asked him, I don't know if you heard it or not, but somebody asked him in the post-game interview and whatnot. So your offense isn't scoring no touchdowns at all. You rely on field goals all ball game. And I believe the answer was Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Enough said. And that something in that regards. Basically, then said next question. So Pittsburgh, I thought they did pretty well. The way that Lamar's a scrambler at quarterback, he's a dual threat quarterback. But for Lamar to only get 4 rushes attempts, and credit the Pittsburgh defense in that department for handling Lamar pretty well in that game. 18-16, Pittsburgh wins. And then the other thing that stood out to me, hey, we thought Bo Nix would be a great quarterback one day. I know Sean Payton, this is year 1 with Bo Nix. But Bo Nix had a field day against those Atlanta Falcons, 28 of 33, 307, 4 touchdowns on the day, 0 interceptions there against the Falcon defense. So Sean Payton, I think, to be honest with you, has probably been one of the better hires in the NFL up to date.
Yeah, I mean, Peyton's been an incredible hire. Maybe a hiring that I don't know. Maybe it wasn't so great. Maybe it's the hiring for the Tennessee Titans, John, as they would lose again, the 23-13 to the Minnesota Vikings.
O-line, baby.
Will Levis, huh?
O-line, O-line, O-line.
I mean, it's just brutal, man. I don't understand it. By the way, shout out Green Bay. Those guys. If you're a Chicago Bears fan, I feel bad for you. You can't beat Green Bay to save your life. I mean, it's like the ghost of Aaron Rodgers come back and discount double checking y'all every time they play.
Another field goal blocked at the
Big
end
time
of the
win,
game.
John. All right, good. John, so can we go ahead and give the trophy to Detroit now, or do we just want to wait till the end of the year when they win it?
I think you still got to wait a couple more weeks for that. But man, speaking of man, they scored like at will. Every time I looked
That's
at
why I
the
brought them
TV,
up, dude.
every time I looked at the TV on Buffalo Wild Wings, I saw where Montgomery and the whole gang got touchdown like within like 10 seconds. And that's another coach that I'm kind of surprised is not fired yet in Jacksonville. Peter, man, what is Doug doing down in Jacksonville?
Well, if you look at some of the rumors that are going around, old Tony Khan, Mr. AEW, is friends with a guy that used to be a really good coach. He left. He won. I think he won a couple of Super Bowls in New England. I believe his name is Bill Belichick. Rumors are kind of starting to swirl a little bit that maybe old Billy Boy. I mean, Trevor Lawrence under Bill Belichick. Could we see success there?
Hard to say.
I don't want to say.
Gotta
Who
have
knows?
a good
I mean,
running game
you know
too,
what I
though.
mean? Like, yeah, I mean, you got to have an offensive line. You got to have a defense. You got to have. I mean, you have to have depth. I understand. There's sports is just a lot of it's overreaction, right? Like, say Bill Belichick does end up in Jacksonville. What's the first thing people are going to say, John? Well, first they're going to say, "Is Brady coming back?"
Yeah.
That's the first thing they're going to say. But secondly, it's you're going to start getting can Bill, can Trevor, can this, can that? Here's my thing: can we just wait and see? And I mean, I understand that's not. We're in sports media. We do talk about it, but the overreaction of the nation is just laughable at times, man.
That or is your 24-year-old girlfriend gonna be one of the Jacksonville Jaguar cheerleaders?
This is a valid point as well. This is a very valid point as well. And honestly, John, that's one that really hadn't thought about. All right, let's jump over, John, to let's talk a little college basketball, man. Big time games been going on recently, John, and I want to talk about this. Is once again, this is not a shot at anyone, but there's a lot of people up here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, that are quite upset about the attendance that's been going on, and there's a lot of people up here that say, "Oh, it's been this way for years. It's always like this." There's people that are complaining about big money companies around here that buy up all the tickets and then they, try to resell them at a higher value. I mean, I've actually sat down the last couple of days and talked to numerous people about this that are up here. It's been this way. As far as the people buying up the tickets, has been that way for years. And if you look around the nation, it's like that all across the country. And also, I mean, there was people out there that complained that were putting, "Oh, well, these guys are shutting, they're putting tickets up there for absorbent amount of numbers." Well, there's also tickets. I saw tickets for $7. Nobody went. Calipari even made a statement after the game on the radio with Chuck Barrett. I believe one of his quotes was, give your tickets to your neighbors if you don't want to go. So, John, we'll start there, man. Not just for an Arkansas perspective. I'm just using them as an example. As on a national level, are we seeing this all across the country, or is this more of a centralized issue?
Well, let's be real here for a moment. Unless you're like a Kansas, Kentucky, Yukon, Baylor, I might add, just to name those few, you're going to be selling out this arena regardless. I know it
Arkansas
firsthand.
was like that last year.
Oh, I know in general. I'm just talking about, like, unless you're one of the blue bloods that are top notch, this day and age, you're not really going to be selling it out at all. Because think about it, people are used to seeing 16,000 people at Allen Fieldhouse and whatnot on a game by game basis, no matter who they're playing. But a lot of people in general, I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you, in general, but that's what I feel like. But again, I think some people are making some good points, though. Unless your non-conference schedule is going to get better in the way that streaming is right now, why not stay home?
Well, I mean, it's been that way for ESPN Plus has been around forever. I mean, I say forever, quite a
10
while.
years or so, yeah.
Right. I mean, I understand we're recession and all that, whatever. We're not getting on that. But is it like that at Memphis?
No
I
comment.
mean, I think they've been averaging, 14.
Okay, let's just say this: the announced crowd has been 11,000 to 12,000, but realistic, you probably at least, like, according to the people I talked to that went to their game against Ohio the other night, you probably had about 7,000 people there in attendance for that one, on an announced crowd of 11,000 people in general. I mean, it's just, I mean, you see more college basketball games on Friday nights, which still kind of surprises me in general, because you got a lot more stuff going on Friday night, like high school football, like Charles brought up. It's just hard to support a program right now when there's a lot more stuff going on during the week as well, especially during a school night, whatnot as well. But I mean, let's just be real. The attendance at Memphis, unless you're playing like an Ole Miss, Mississippi State, which you are this year, you're not going to be selling that place out for a non-conference game against a Louisiana Tech or an Arkansas State. Hey, I'm not saying this in a negative way. I won't be surprised if you see more Mississippi State and Ole Miss fans in that lower bowl when they play the Tigers here in a couple weeks or a month away.
Very well could. But John, let's
Wes, let me ask
go
you
ahead.
this question real quick. Does Arkansas do like a mini package for fans for basketball? Because I see where a lot more, yeah. Because I see a lot more.
I really need to dig into that. Yeah. I know they do for football.
Because
I mean, there's some fans that are like, "Hey, give me a better product and I'll go."
Okay.
But you just packed the place out at his intro. You packed the place out for Kansas. I understand that was on a Friday or Saturday night. This was on a Tuesday night, but still, or Monday. They play Monday. And like I said, I'm not just taking direct. People are going to be like, "Oh, he's just taking shots at Arkansas." I'm not. I mean, not. No, I'm really not.
It's happening all over right now.
It's happening all over, but I'm saying it's just prevalent here. I mean, how do you fix it? you market better. You start talking about a game after the next game. Like, the game Monday ends, next game, boom, 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 boom. Start talking about it. Promotion, promotion, promotion.
All right,
I understand that costs money. I get that. But where is that?
All right, I just answered my own question. I just looked it up on Arkansas's website. They don't do a mini plan like Memphis does or anybody like that. So they only do single game
But
tickets right now.
Yeah, and those single game tickets are about, I don't know, $60 or so.
$30 in the nosebleeds.
Yeah, but still, that is not a bad price for a game. And it was a Pacific team that played them pretty tough. It was a Troy game that came in here and played them pretty tough. Like we talked about with Charles. Memphis is going to go into Arkansas State in a couple weeks.
Well, they're coming here,
that's
but
not going to be an easy basketball game. I
they're
mean, you know what I
coming
mean?
here,
Still.
but yeah.
Yes. I mean, but it's still not going to be an easy game. But if you're Memphis fans, you got to go show up. And guess what? Arkansas State fans are going to show up.
Especially the way
I
they
mean,
got.
Yeah,
I was going to say, especially the way they're predicted to win the Sun Belt this year.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, man. All right, let's take a little road trip, John, and look at some games coming up this week. We got the Shriners Children's Charleston Classic Thursday night between Miami and Drake. Both teams 3-0. That game starts at 11 a.m., by the way. On Baller TV at 10 a.m. Thursday, you got James Madison and UIC for the Boardwalk Battle. I'm not sure how to get Baller TV, but that would be interesting to watch.
It's an app.
You got the Myrtle Beach Invitational, 11 a.m. as well on ESPNU Ohio, and MTSU. MTSU comes in 3-1. Ohio is 1-3. Oklahoma State FAU as well in the Shiners. Baylor St. John's in the Bahamas. What's your thoughts on that game? That's sneaky.
Two Hall of Famers coaching that game. So it very well could go either way.
Very well could. So I mean, when you look across the country over the weekends, I mean, there's incredible games.
Syracuse at
all
Texas
across the country.
In Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia.
Can't sleep on that.
Hey, Virginia, Tennessee playing too. So is Virginia gonna give Tennessee 60 or 40 minutes of let's play defense? In general. So
a game that at one point in time, these two coaches absolutely hated each other, and I don't think either coach is still there anymore. And that is, at the time, it was John Chaney at Temple and John Calipari at UMass. But these two teams are battling it out as the Owls. I don't know if y'all have watched this before, but the owl in the corner of the thing will flap his wings. He has to flap his wings until they score. So he hopes they score fast. But the Owls are 3-1 right now as the Minutemen come in at 1-3. They will battle in the Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off tournament, and that's Saturday at 4 p.m. Very interesting games, man. Stanford, Santa Clara, a little West Coast action. I'm looking forward to that one. But John, give me some thoughts real quick, man, before we get to our closing segment here. And once again, we thank Charles McRary for coming on. Incredible job. We had a lot of fun with him. Segment went longer than it was planned to, but it's all good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Give me your thoughts, John, as we go into the weekend as we talk about Coach's Corner a little bit. Give me some thoughts on some coaches who who you want to see maybe get a little more love than they should?
Shaka Smart and Marquette. I know a lot of people are saying, well, he did well at Texas and whatnot. He wouldn't do well at Marquette. Yada, 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 yada. But the way he did pretty well yesterday, I believe, against Purdue and beat them. And Cam Jones, let me just say this. Cam Jones getting better and better each year under Shaka Smart. He's done it well for a reason, right? Shaka Smart has been a winner everywhere he's been, right? So let me give a shout out to Marquette, Shaka Smart, and Cam Jones and company getting that huge win yesterday over Purdue. As you know, Cam Jones played at ECS back in the day, Evangel Christian School here in Memphis. He had 17 points yesterday, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists as the 15th ranked Golden Eagles won 76-58 over Purdue. It was also an emotional game for him as well, as one of his high school coaches, Coach Terry Tibbett in the Memphis area, passed away over the weekend. So they call it Angels Up in Heaven for a reason. They also call it Angels with You at All Times. And let's give Cam Jones and Marquette some love on the Sports Buffet today.
Yeah, man, no doubt, no doubt. All right, man, let's jump over to we always have a list here, so let's jump over and talk about our list. Our list of the show is top 10 college basketball arenas. So, John, we'll start with you, man. Give me your top 10.
Here, I'll do only 5 because that's the only thing I could think of, like, on top of my head that I want to experience. Can I do 5? And you can do 5, make it easier, kind of. If that's okay with you? Cool. Let's just start out with Allen Fieldhouse. I've been there numerous times, and I know people don't like to hear that because Memphis versus Kansas, Mario Chalmers and whatnot. But think about it. When you got people packing that place out 2 hours before tip-off, and you already got 16,000 already in your seats, it's one of the lifetime things you got to achieve in life, like going to Allen Fieldhouse. And, of course, Cameron Indoor, and then you got I'm do the KFC Yum Center in Louisville. I've heard good things about that I'd like to experience. And then also, I would love to go to what's that arena called? Somewhere in the Indiana basketball gym, the new, that's not new, but it's old Indiana basketball gym, and then of course Illinois' basketball gym too.
Yeah, Allen Fieldhouse was at Kansas was not my number 1, by the way.
I understand.
Man, there's a bunch. There's a bunch, man. So I'm going to start with the McHale Center in Arizona. It opened in 1973, has a capacity of 14,688. It is named the James Fred Pop McHale after a legendary Arizona coach who at one point in his tenure was the head coach of the Wildcats basketball, baseball, and football team. I'll say that again. At one point in time, this guy was the head coach of the basketball, baseball, and football. That's cool. I like that. All right. That's one for sure. I would say we're doing top 5, right? So that's 5.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go number 4. We'll go Pauley Pavilion, UCLA. It opened in 1965. It holds 13,800 people. And when that place is packed, that place is definitely packed out. Number 3, I'll go Bud Walton here in Fayetteville. It's one of the newest arenas. It opened in 1993, by the way. It of course, in '94, Arkansas won the national championship. The arena currently holds 19,368. Expect that to change in the coming years. Expect it to decrease, actually, in the coming years. Number 2, I've got Allen Fieldhouse. Allen Fieldhouse, Kansas. The Fog, as they call it, Fog Allen, Phog, by the way. Holds 15,300 people, and it's been one of the most incredible atmospheres since it opened in 1955. When that place is jumping, the Fog is. I've never been, John, and I know you've been. I've been told. I've seen video. When that place is going, that place is lit, son. It's fun. Number 1, John, I have to go Cameron Indoor at Duke.
Mm-hmm.
It was originally named Duke Indoor Stadium, by the way. They changed the name in 1972 to honor legendary coach Eddie Cameron. He was the coach of the basketball team and the football team and served as the AD there for 20 years. Here's the thing, though, John. It only holds 9,314 fans, and they are right on your ass because they are right on top of you when they're breaching out. I love it, man. The Cameron Crazies. That is an arena that I've got to go to. I got a chance to watch Duke play Wake Forest. I got a chance to watch North Carolina also play Wake Forest when I lived out in North Carolina for a short period of time. They take ball serious out there, man. That Duke North Carolina series is serious. You talk about great rivalries around the country. When it comes to basketball, I don't know that I don't know that it's deeper than Duke North Carolina. There's a lot. Louisville, Kentucky, I know is up there. All that, man. Duke North Carolina, those folks hate each other. Yeah, that's my top 5, man. We do a list always here at the Sports Buffet as we end the show. We got an appetizer edition. We got the appetizers at the beginning. Then we got the main course, which was Charles McRary and all the sports. And then this is the dessert edition, which is the list of the week. Appreciate John Sturtevant coming on, man. Big time stuff right here at 4-Star Sports Media. We enjoy doing this show. We love doing this show. This show's turned out to be one of the most fun shows that's ever been produced here at 4-Star Sports Media. It's really opened our doors to a lot of different avenues as far as reaching out to media members across the country, coaches, players, and more. I appreciate John Sturtevant for all the help he's done over the last few months putting this show on. But, man, 4-Star Sports Media, we appreciate everybody watching and listening. Head over to 4star.live. Also, head over to YouTube. We got a YouTube channel that's taking off a little bit right now. But, man, we're booming. We're over 1,000, almost at 1,500, pushing 2,000 subscribers on every single social media. And then we've got a website that is currently reaching close to 65 to 70,000 people a month. So you look at the subscriber number, you look at the website count. We're growing here at 4-Star Sports Media. There's not too many stagnant things happening here. So we appreciate it. We're always growing. And as we like to say, we're a multimedia journalism brand because we are more than a podcast. We also have articles. We've also got photography from Madison Pinkey over at Red Shot It. Man, she does incredible work with all of her photography work, and be on the lookout for her in some other sporting events as well in the future. So we appreciate everybody watching and listening. For John Sturtevant and all of us here at 4-Star Sports Media, I am Wes Pruitt. And as always, folks,